Hey everybody! So, wanted to talk about the spring game today. Of course, me and Rec Talk went together a couple days ago. We had an amazing freaking tailgate beforehand. Thanks to everybody that showed up to that. We had a good time set up on the Fifth Street Bridge, and we grilled out some burgers and had a bunch of people come by, and we were talking, and it was a great time. So shout out to everybody that had showed up to that, and we will definitely be doing that in the future. That was a great time. And as for the game itself, it was a great time. We had it was freaking hot, and I'm a little crispy too from it still. And we sat, behind the end zone, so I wasn't, able to get the best view of it during the game itself. So I've since then gone back and watched over the game and kind of had my thoughts, about it and everything. So didn't have the best view. We were having a hard time seeing who was in and whatnot. And for some reason, they're not freaking airing the game even until Tuesday on TV. But everybody who's already wanted to see it has seen it on whatever streaming. There's like random places that you can find the game to watch it. And so if you really want to watch it, you can go watch it still. But obviously the big to do everybody's going to be talking about is the quarterback battle. We've talked about it on the live show, on the videos. Everybody, all the other Georgia Tech YouTubers have been talking about it. And so the quarterbacks battle is going to continue into day one of the season. And, both quarterbacks, Pyron and Haynes King, played really, really well. And I'm not even going to mention Zach Gibson. People throw him in there for some reason. Zach Gibson's for sure going to be the number 3, the backup, maybe even number 4, because Brody Rhodes, everybody's talking about him, the walk-on. He played great. Well, okay, I had to shout out my boy Brody Rhodes, but look, we're not the freaking Georgia Bulldogs, okay? We play our best quarterback and not the walk-on. So, very freaking funny that they are joking about putting Brody Rhodes in. But anyway, the true battle here is Haynes King and Zach Pyron. And Zach Pyron didn't play as much, obviously, coming off of, the clavicle injury. And he's been doing good for himself. He's been doing, recovering and everything. And he looked good. He threw some good passes. He was still mobile, during the game and was able to escape some pressure. The Zach Pyron that we kind of know and love from last year, still doing a bit of mobility. And hopefully that's something that he's going to be able to do during the season, because that was, what made him really good. We don't have the best of offensive lines. It's much improved, but we don't have the best of it right now. And so we're going to need a quarterback with a little bit of mobility, which, of course, both of these two have. So it was nice to see them running around. But really, as far as the quarterbacks go, Haynes King stole the show. I mean, he had a few dime piece freaking throws, man. He did a great job. And so he looked like the all-world freaking most amazing guy you've ever seen. Haynes King had a great time, great game, and he was really impressive. I was really impressed with Haynes King. And so this, the quarterback battle going into the game, everybody around the program and everybody seemed to think that, Pyron was hands down going to get the job just because, he had it last year and everything. And he's Key's guy, but, I seem to think that Haynes King could push for the starting job. I mean, after all, Haynes King has already won the starting job at Texas A&M twice, and we can see why, because he comes out and he puts on a great performance like he did at the spring game. And so, you can see why he was able to win the job. So, I don't know. We'll see if, they're willing to evaluate that and put the best guy there. I know that Brent Key and Pyron have a special relationship, and so everybody seems to think that it's going to be Pyron. One thing's for certain, whether it's Haynes King or Pyron, we're not going to find out until, they're not going to announce it until snap one of the Louisville game, that week 1 game. So that they're going to keep that one secret, and we're going to just have to talk about it. And honestly, it seems like Pyron's going to get it. But either way, I think that both of them played good. I think that we're going to be in good hands no matter what. I think that we have good depth at the quarterback position, which is, something that just hasn't been the norm. And I think Brent Key has done a great job with that room, since he's got here. And it's in a much better state than Collins had it already. And so could we expect to see, going forward, the transfer portal's opening, which I'll touch on that here. But, could we expect to see possibly the transfer portal, another quarterback to bring in? Probably not. But, we could get another one for depth or something. But to me, it seems like we have good depth at the quarterback position. So moving on from that, can't have your amazing quarterback performance and these dime piece throws without a receiver, right? And so we had Malik Rutherford put on quite the show. He had a ton of yards, and he played a great game, and he was, he even had some saucy freaking moves where he was, like, juking out guys and did a cool reversal, and he had some special moments in the game, a couple touchdowns and a couple long receptions, and, he looked like he's going to probably be one of our top weapons. Him and DJ Moore both had a really, really good game this spring game. So those are the guys, we kind of came into the spring game kind of knowing this, because if you've been paying attention, like with the wide receivers we've been bringing in, we brought in so many wide receivers, and it was just bound to, we were just bound to have a good receiving core, even with the loss of Leo Blackburn. It seems like we're really have good depth at that position, and really just I think we're going to be all right there, too. Seems like we have some good weapons, because we are replacing, of course, Nate McCollum, who was our leading receiver last year. I think Malik Rutherford is going to do a fine job. He's been in the program for a while, and he's got tons of experience, and now I think it's his time to shine. So running backs, we had a couple guys. Travion Cooley had a good show in this game. Dante Smith was there. And, those are the kind of 1-2, I think, that punch that it's going to be. Of course, Travion Cooley transferred in. He's a new guy. He transferred in from Louisville this past year. And so we're going to have him, at running back, and they're probably going to be our two featured backs. We actually did have, since the spring game, two running backs that are going to no longer be with the team. We had Antonio Martin, who was a freshman last year, 4-star actually, the highest ranked player in that class last year, I'm pretty sure. We had him come in, and he's hit the transfer portal. I think he was buried in the depth chart for some reason. I guess he just, couldn't get playing time, and it was clear to him that he wasn't going to be able to crack into the starting position like he wanted to, so he's going to be transferring out. And we had also Caleb Edwards, unfortunately, a poor guy had to freaking retire from football with a neck injury. So he's not going to be playing football anymore. It's a medical reason, some kind of neck injury he had during the spring. And he's played a few different positions for us, wound up at running back this year so we could have depth. But, now he's going to be not with the team anymore. Feel sorry for the guy. That really sucks. So we are now going to be two running backs down, so possibly be looking for, us to be looking for a running back in the portal now, because that's something that I've really been looking at, because I guess as a Tech fan, I'm just used to our running game being really good. Like, it's been pretty mid to bad, these past couple years, like ever since Jahmyr Gibbs left, and J.P. Mason. Not even just Jahmyr. It was J.P. Mason when he left too. Our running game has just been pretty mid. So, I've been looking forward to, I've been really hoping that we could get some strong backs in there. I guess I'm just used to a really, really good run game. It's weird having passing be our strong suit, which it was this past year. Passing was our strong suit this past year. And so, we're going to need to get some weapons. And speaking of weapons, it looked like they had Malik Rutherford returning punts there. We didn't do, full punt return, but they did have him, catching them. So maybe look out for Malik Rutherford. From what it seems like, he's probably got the best moves and the best, ability to do that. So that was something that I noticed too, is that Malik Rutherford was back returning punts. What else? Tight ends on the offense. The offense is the most exciting thing to talk about to me because it's all new, right? It's all new. And, we got Buster Faulkner in there. He's the new guy. He's the new OC. We're going to reinvent ourselves. Our offense was so terrible last year, so we're really building this thing up, and it's exciting. So I wanted to kind of hit on all the spots on offense, and it looks like tight ends is going to still be a work in progress this year. So we have Dylan Leonard, who's been here for a few years. He's been here a while. He's been kind of the feature tight end, and, he's decent, I think, at best. I'm not trying to joke on anybody here or come down on the guy, but, he's just not quite the what you want to see. Hopefully he has a breakout year this year, proves me wrong. I really hope that. But it doesn't seem like we're going to be much better at the tight end position this year. Last year was absolutely just dreadful at tight end. We had, Luke Benson, one of the worst tight ends I've ever seen, and then we have, who else? We brought in this guy, Jackson Long, and he was like a 2-star from like USF, and I'm like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really, really not. I love our players. I love every one of our players. But, from what I've seen from Jackson, like he dropped this, touchdown pass wide open. He was wide open, hit him right in the hands, and he drops it. And so Jackson Long, not impressive to me, particularly in the spring game. And then you got, Brett Seether, which was this guy from Georgia. Buster Faulkner brought him over, and he was on a milk carton pretty much. I didn't see anything from Brett Seether. So our depth at tight end, not good. Our production, hopefully, it's still early on. And Buster Faulkner's only had, 2 weeks with these guys? So there's still time to improve with that. But it is a ground-up rebuild because there was no tight ends on the roster whenever Jeff Collins took over from the Paul Johnson era, and Jeff Collins didn't do squat to freaking build it up at all, which I get it. It's one of those, you literally have to build it from the ground up. And so we're gonna need to get somebody at the tight end position that can be the first tight end for Georgia Tech in the new era. That can be the first guy. That's the guy. That's a bona fide weapon. You know what I mean? Could that be Dylan Leonard? He has a breakout year this year. Could it be one of these other guys that develops? We'll see. At the tight ends. So we're gonna have to see about that. Tight ends, it's a ground up kind of thing. So wanted to talk about that. We got the tight ends. Defensive side of the ball. Well, defensive side of the ball was pretty limited, right? They only ran 3 plays. They weren't obviously, it's a spring game. They're not allowed to touch the quarterback. So they were pretty limited in what they were able to do. Not too much to talk about on the defensive side of the ball. Defense has some big shoes to fill this year. Our defense last year was lights out. Whether you believe, if you're not a Tech fan, you're probably laughing at me you got blown out a few times. Well, okay. Every game we won, our defense won the game. And, and when we got blown out, well, there's only so much you can do when your offense goes 3-and-out, and then, your special teams is so bad, the other team gets the ball on the 40-yard line, and, there's only so much you can do, So even the best defense in that situation can't. This is just a no-win situation. When you have horrible special teams, horrible offense, your defense isn't going to be great either. But, yeah, defense was freaking lights out. We're having to replace several guys, A.C. Lee, Charlie Thomas, Keon White, having to replace those guys. That's going to be tough. And, obviously, Zamari Walton, who transferred to Ole Miss. Going to be tough to fill those shoes. Didn't get much of a look from that. Maybe some of these guys a little more qualified than Sea-Dog as far as the X's and O's goes, could tell you a little more about the defense. All I know is we have big shoes to fill on that side of the ball. And look, we had a senior, really talented defense last year, and there's just I just really don't see a way that we match the production from that group that we had last year. Which means that, first of all, our offense is going to need to step up, which is why I've been focusing on the offense so much. Our offense is going to need to step up big time. That's why this transition was so important. We got to be a more well-rounded team, and special teams too. Our special teams absolutely held us back this past year. We weren't returning punts. We were, Brent Key, when he took over, he put a Band-Aid on the punt block situation. Obviously, we were getting a ton of punts blocked before Jeff Collins got fired, and it was a horrible situation. Brent Key was able to solve that. But we did give up a couple punt returns for touchdowns, and it seemed like we never returned punts ourselves. Whatever it was schematically, we didn't have a guy to. We never returned punts ourselves, and it was pretty disastrous on special teams. Our offense was bad, and so, like I said earlier, we wound up getting pinned at the 10 every time, and the other team would get the ball back at the 40, and that's just disastrous for your team. And so special teams and offense are going to have to step up in a big way. We're going to need to be a more well-rounded team this year, and I think we will. I think we will be a more well-rounded team. I like what I've seen from the offense. I like what I've seen from the quarterbacks. It seems like we have good weapons. Hopefully we go in the portal, get a couple running backs, a running back or two. And I think we're going to be more well-rounded this year. So I think that's covers the offense and defense. Special teams, talked about that. I've been hammering home special teams this offseason. I've been hammering it home. Okay, if you've been watching Sea-Dog, I've been freaking ringing the special teams bell for the whole time, because that, when you look at it, that's what was really holding us back last year. So I think we're going to get that buttoned up. I'm really excited for what we can do this year. One more thing kind of was attendance, which wasn't great. We had like 10K people there. It was pretty pitiful. We had it just half the stadium was closed down. All the upper decks closed down. It was pretty bad. I don't know what people need to see to get more excited. I mean, I guess you see that we went 5-7 last year, and the casual Georgia Tech fan, they're like, "Oh, great, another losing season. Why do we hire this freaking Brent Key guy?" Well, if you're paying attention to Brent Key and what he's doing there, you're going to know that Georgia Tech's going to be good. That we're going to be good this year. We're going to be good. We're not going to miss a bowl. We're going to be respectable. We're going to catch some teams off guard. We're going to have a few upsets, and I'm feeling confident. I know there's not much you can take from the spring game. For me though, I was looking at a few things. I was looking at a lot. I was looking at the offense and the quarterbacks, how they played, and I like what I see. I feel good. A lot of the times they say you can't take a lot from spring games. Well, you can take bad things from spring games. And the only bad things I took from the game were possibly the tight end situation and the attendance. But other than that, liked what I've seen, and I'm excited for the future. So without any further ado, go Jackets, and I'll see you guys next time.